Magandang araw sa inyo mga kabansa. Kayo ay nasa Iparas kay Paras. At ito po yung lingkod, Ado Paglilawan na nagbubungad ng pagbati ng ating sekretary.
Magandang hapon po ulit mga kababayan. Dito po tayo sa Iparas kay Paras. At tatalakayin natin ang hearing sa Senado. Nung pangalawang hearing ay hindi sumipot ang mga miyembro ng kabinete at mga ibang empleyado ng gobyerno under the executive department, no? Dito sa third hearing mukhang nagsiputa na, pero marami pa rin wala. Pero gusto nating ipakita yung kamalian at walang saysay na walang basihan na pagdakip at some quarters are saying na pagkidnap kay President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Ito po, may mga tinatanong si Amy Marcos at isa sa mga guest ay isang former justice, and I think itong former associate justice ng Korte Suprema ay nagiging membro din ng Constitutional Commission nung panahon ni Cory Aquino. So ito po, pakinggan natin ang hearing pinamunuan ni Amy Marcos.
And I'd like to call on Justice Ascuna at this juncture. Reference has been made to RA 9851, yung Article 17 nga na sinasabi, na sa ngayon, hindi na yung Rome Statute kasi post-2019 na tayo, no? So, ang huling kataga, pursuant to the applicable extradition laws and treaties. It's very clear, it's the last sentence of Article 17. And in an interview, the former Supreme Court Justice Adolfo Ascuna opined that surrender must be made pursuant to an applicable treaty. And since the Philippines is no longer a party to the Rome Statute, what then is the applicable treaty? Wala nang treaty. Dahil ang ini-invoke nga yung Rome Statute, wala na ngayon. Siguro si Justice Ascuna mas mahusay magpaliwanag.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Regarding the applicable provisions, the justification given by government for the surrender of former President Rodrigo Duterte to the ICC consists of two grounds. One is the warrant of arrest issued by the ICC and served through the protocol of the Interpol. The other is Section 17 of Republic Act 9851, which is the Philippine IHL law, and which provides that if a person is already being investigated for the crimes covered by this act, which includes crimes against, which includes the crimes for which President Duterte is being charged, is already being investigated by an international tribunal. The relevant Philippine authorities may surrender such person to the international tribunal, but it adds pursuant to the applicable extradition laws and treaties. Ngayon, ang tanong, ito bang last sentence na ito, which provides for the requirement that the surrender should be pursuant to applicable treaties, is still applicable since we don't have anymore the Rome Statute. Sa palagay ko po ay it's either we have the Rome Statute or not. If we don't have a treaty, then we cannot surrender the suspect to the ICC under this section, because this section requires that the surrender be pursuant to a treaty. Pursuant means in accordance with. And so if there is no treaty, in my view, we cannot make a surrender. On the other hand, if there is still a treaty that is due to the residual obligations that the Philippines may have even after withdrawal, pursuant to Article 127, Paragraph 2 of the Rome Statute, after withdrawal, the withdrawing state still obliged to cooperate with the ICC in relation to matters already under consideration by the court prior to withdrawal. So it again, you go back to the question, is the Philippine situation something already under consideration by the court, by the ICC, prior to our withdrawal? In my view, Madam Chair, the answer is yes, because as of February 8, 2018, prior to our withdrawal, Fatou Bensouda, the former ICC prosecutor, already said that the Philippine situation is under preliminary examination as of that date. The question is whether or not the prosecutor is the court, because 127 paragraph 2 says under consideration by the court. And in my view, it is, because there are four principal organs of the ICC. The first is the presidencies. There's one president and two vice presidents. The second are the judicial divisions. The third is the office of the prosecutor. And the fourth is the registrar. So the office of the prosecutor is part of the court. Therefore, when Article 127, Paragraph 2 says the matter must be under consideration by the court at the time before withdrawal, it includes consideration by the prosecutor. And so therefore, I believe we have residual obligations even after withdrawal. Question therefore is whether or not the warrant of arrest issued by the ICC after our withdrawal is something we have to cooperate with. Under 127 paragraph 2, in my view, yes. And therefore, in my view, the warrant of arrest is legal. However, I believe that the surrender is not, because the surrender must be pursuant to a treaty, and therefore our own law, Section 17 of Republic Act 9851, brought back the Statute of Rome, even after withdrawal, because it requires that a surrender must be pursuant to the applicable treaty. And therefore, in this case, the applicable treaty remains the Statute of Rome. And thus, we have to follow Article 59 of the Statute of Rome, which requires that the custodial state, namely the Philippines, must first bring the arrested person to a local court to determine two things: whether or not the person is really the one named in the warrant; second, whether or not the person has been informed of the charges against him or her. This was not done. Therefore, there was, in my view, a violation in the act of surrender. However, Madam Chair, this is in the forum of the Philippines, but in the forum of the ICC, different rules apply. The rule in international law, Madam Chair, is that procedural laws are governed by the forum. So procedural safeguards are applicable only to the forum. If the Philippine Bill of Rights, for instance, which says that no person however, criminal proceedings before the ICC is governed by their own procedure. This is in accordance with private international law, that procedures governed by Lex Fori, the law of the forum. And therefore, we go to the procedure in the ICC. In the ICC, I believe they follow what is called mali coptus beni detentus, meaning that even if the arrest is illegal, the detention can be legal, it does not automatically mean that if the arrest was illegal, the person arrested must be released. They will balance, it's a balancing act. They will balance the illegality of the arrest with the need to prosecute someone for very serious offenses under international law. And in their view, the balance weighs in favor of prosecution. They will prosecute, notwithstanding the violation of the procedure in the arrest and in the surrender, I mean. Therefore, it depends on whether you're talking about Philippine Forum or the ICC. The ICC, I believe, will follow their own procedure, whereas in the Philippines, as it is now pending in the Philippine Supreme Court, in my view, there is a violation and there will be consequences for that violation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, there are two situations here. One is the applicability, because earlier kasi, mga kababayan, in the first hearing, ini-insist ng Department of Justice through the Secretary that their basis for the arrest of the President is the existing law, which is Republic Act 9851. And they use the particular provision as the basis, the surrender. Pero hindi niya binasa yung buong
In fact,
Section 17.
Pinutol niya.
Oo. The qualified yun eh. The Section 17 is qualified, and the controlling provision is pursuant to
applicable
extradition law or a treaty or treaties. So, pinagbigyan ng kahulugan ni Justice Ascona na hindi pwede na surrender, because surrender must be in accordance to the treaty. Now, if there is no longer any treaty to reckon with, dahil in 2021, in 2019, nag-take effect na yung withdrawal ng Philippine government,
Yung 1 year.
as far as membership in the Rome Statute or the ICC, there is no more treaty to talk about, and therefore surrender will not hold water. Yun ang sinasabi ni Ascona, and the argument of the Department of Justice or the Secretary of Justice will certainly fall. So it means that the arrest was made illegally, and may pananagutan yan. On the other hand,
even the arrest,
may sinasabi naman siya tungkol doon sa residual powers ng RACC. Kasi nga, the crime alleged committed between 2011 to 2019. And prior to the withdrawal, nagkaroon na nga daw ng examination, preliminary examination, as itong si Bensuda ay nag-conduct ng examination. Pero dito po ako mag-comment, kasi sinasabi niya yung prosecution daw is the court. Paano naman maging prosecution at saka judge din at the same time? So I don't believe that the earlier examination conducted by the prosecutor was not the one contemplated as the formal investigation, because in 2021 the prosecutor applied with the court
in May 2021.
in May 2021. Yun ang preliminary investigation.
At na-approve ng September
So,
2021.
we follow the opinion of the Solicitor General, Maynard Guevara, that you have to make a distinction between preliminary examination and preliminary investigation, which is a formal permission. Nung una, walang permission eh. Pero ginastify ni Ascona na yung prosecutor daw is synonymous with the court. No? A court is always different from the prosecutor. So, yun lang po. So, ang take natin dito, with due respect, na wala na talagang jurisdiction ng ICC to come in because we're no longer a member of the Rome Statute. And the permission given to the prosecutor by the ICC court was only in 2021. So, paso na. In contrast with the ruling on there was a ruling on, what's that case, Burundi. Yung sa Burundi, applicable pa na nag-remain pa yung power because the application for preliminary investigation was made prior to the expiration of the 1 year period yung allowed for the effectivity of the withdrawal. So yun po ito mga kababayan, kaya klarong-klaro ang inaano lang po natin dito, klarong-klaro na kay Attorney Rodolfo Ascona, who is a former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court and also one of the commissioner in the Constitutional Commission, and yung isa si Attorney Medina, they have both the same in contrast with the Department of Justice. Of course, it's understandable that the DOJ would certainly force the issue because they have to defend themselves.
Yun ang defense na eh.
Yun ang defense. And at any given time, pagka nagko-corner sila, they will always exercise the so-called executive privilege. So, ang inaano lang po natin ito ay sana maninindigan ang mga senador, specifically the chairwoman, Senator Amy Marcos, sila Cayetano, maninindigan sila kasi klarong-klaro na eh. Nagkakabistuhan na, nagkakaalaman na, lalo na itong nagtuturuan na sila. Tinanong si Marvel. O sinong una muna, tinanong
si Torre muna.
Tinanong si Torre. Sinong nagutos? Sabi niya, nagutos si Marvel. Tinanong si Marvel. Sabi ni Amy, pwede kang sumagot dahil
hindi ka cover ng
hindi ka naman cover ng executive privilege.
Pero sinabi niya, ang nagutos sa kanya si Alcantara. Tinanong naman si Alcantara, sabi ni Alcantara, no, hindi ako. Tapos binalik kay Marbil. Ang sabi ngayon ni Marbil, I'm invoking the executive privilege.
Pero nung tinanong si Boying Rimulya, sinabi niya, binigyan niya ng clearance yung kapatid niya, si John Vic. Now, being the head of the Department of Interior and Local Government, and under mo yung police, at saka kasama ka doon sa grupo, in fact, binanggit niya si Marcos, si Gibo, si Anyo, at saka siya, at doon nang galing yung order, nagbigay ng press con si Marcos na dahil sa Interpol, inano niya. So, it is obvious that John Vic, yun ang nag-utos kay Marvel.
Sa akin, hindi. I don't agree.
No.
When he invoked the executive privilege, binabaka pa niya si Marcos. Si Marcos ang nag-utos kay Marvel. When he invoked the executive privilege.
Well, alam mo,
Kung ayaw niya ituro ang presidente.
you are saying that
That's my theory.
No, I'm not against your theory.
Okay.
I'm saying only that
Inamin niya, no?
in the ultimate is that Marcos was the one who did all these things. Pero siyempre, Marcos, hindi naman pwede siyang mag-utos directly. So, it's through channel. Inutusan niya John Vic. Ito yung plano, ha. You tell Marbil, and Marbil should secure the arrest of Marcos at dapat yung tao na mapagkatiwalaan natin. Di ba? Na isigurado na isakay sa aeroplano. So, ultimately, it is natutumbukan talaga si Marcos ang may pakana nito lahat, mga kababayan. And I don't think Aimee would backtrack on this. Otherwise, sino pang magtiwala kay Aimee kung bibitawan niya ito in midstream just to save his brother or her brother?
At saka bagsak ang buong pamilya niyo pagka sumama siya.
Okay, so dito na lang muna tayo, mga kababayan, and thank you very much. Dito tayo sa Iparas kay Paras. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat.
Huwag kalimutang mag-subscribe dito sa Iparas kay Paras at i-click ang notification bell. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.